So again, the presentation is going to be in two parts. We are going to have the overview where I'll show you the step-by-step procedure using slides, and then the next part will be a practical demonstration where we'll just take a few minutes to go through one practical real-life problem. The objective of this presentation is to practically show how a geospatial software like GIS can be used to facilitate the work of valuation. The objective is not to make you all land surveyors, no, but it's just to provide you with basic skills to enhance your professional practice. To be able to carry out a successful geospatial property identification, these are a few skill sets that you need. You should be able to identify the different kind of coordinate reference systems that we have. I would explain what they are as we go on. You are also supposed to be able to understand referencing. Big word, is very simple. And then also we would do what we call digitizing. And then finally, we would learn how to upload a KML file onto a navigation device. Some of the questions that I believe would be answered as we go on are, how do you confirm that the plan attached to a request for valuation is the same location as the property you have been shown? Because you could have a case where someone or a client may give you a different site plan showing a different property, whereas he will be insisting it is another property. As a professional, you should be able to tell the difference. How do I locate a land that my grandparents in their will left for me as inheritance? Where is the property's actual location according to the site plan? How sure are we that that is the actual property location? Yes, we can hopefully by the end of this presentation be able to tell the difference. So the basic requirements for this training is the source data, which is the hard copy paper maps or site plans that we know. I believe everybody is familiar with a site plan. This is a sample. This is how a site plan looks like. This is going. And then, of course, it's a software we are going to run, so you need a computer to be able to run it. And then you need to download this preferably for this purpose, to which effect I know it was communicated to you, so I believe you have already gotten your versions by now. If not, it's not too late. We can still get it. And then you need internet connection. You need internet connection as well. All right, so I would just briefly tell you what QGIS is. I believe some of you may know what it is, but it is basically a geospatial, or it's a GIS software, Geographic Information System software, and it is open source, meaning it does not have proprietary license, meaning you can download it from anywhere without any permissions, as it were. You can modify it any way that you want. If you're a developer, if you're a programmer, you can tear it apart, put it back together, mold it in any way that you want. And it's also very versatile because it's coded in Python and Qt tools. Most of these Python and Qt tools, they are new and very user-friendly programming languages that have come up. So it's a project that was born somewhere in 2002. The developers who came together to do it thought of making a software that could, a GIS software that was very, very, very affordable, because the ones we had previously and we still have are quite expensive. So the whole QGIS project was to just create a software that is accessible to everybody, and that is user friendly. And also, at the moment, QGIS currently runs on almost all the existing operating systems that you can think of. Yes, so the reasons I gave earlier, why QGIS? Because it's free. Everybody and anybody can access it. It's also user friendly. It's very easy to customize, like I said, and it also has third-party plugins available. Third-party plugins are basically, let's think of it this way. Somebody starts a project, perhaps in building or in road construction or in mining or in hydrology, something. And then at the end of his project, he's able to write a program or develop something that will tell QGIS to perform a certain function. And because he's able to do that, he makes that algorithm, that particular function, or that program that he developed available in QGIS. QGIS allows for those third-party plugins because they are very compatible. So in the end, people have carried out projects and left the algorithms, the codes that they use, and it has been incorporated into QGIS successfully. So it makes it very, very, very usable at so many different levels. So this is how the interface looks like. The QGIS interface, this is how what we call the GUI, the graphical user interface of QGIS looks like. When you are able to launch it, you would have on the left-hand side what we call the browser panel. Below it is the layers panel. And then this portion over here is the map canvas, which allows you to interact with the site plan, in this case, that you are able to upload. Above on this menu bar is the plugins that I spoke about earlier. And for the purpose of this training, we require a number of plugins, 3 of them basically. There are more that could be used, but for the purpose of our training, we would stick to Quick Map Services, which provides, it's a plugin that provides the web map services that we know of. For example, Google Earth, OpenStreetMaps. It's a plugin that allows you at the click of a mouse to access those web map services. The Georeferencer GDAL plugin is also the plugin that allows you to be able to georeference a site plan. And then the lat-long tools here helps you to convert between coordinate systems such that you will not have so much difficulty when working in the QGIS. All right, so this is a brief overview of the procedure for carrying out geospatial property identification. You have a site plan, you have a scanned image. To be able to get it in the QGIS, you have to scan it from the hard copy. Scanning, you can use a scanner, you can take a picture, and then you upload it into QGIS. And then from there, you need to georeference it. So that's where you come to the Georeferencer GDAL. After you georeference it, you digitize it for the purpose of obtaining a simple polygon. The Quick Map Services plugin, which allows you to load the web map services. For example, we have Google Satellites, what we know traditionally as Google Earth. We have Bing Satellite also. We have so many of them, but in fact, we have quite a number. They are a lot, but for Africa, our part of Africa, these are the ones I have seen that are relatively current. The rest that are available are not updated. So perhaps if you view any of those other web map services that are available, you may not get current data for that part of Ghana that you are viewing. But these are relatively current and usable. So after you load the WMS layer, you'll be able to verify, because you can tell whether the property is near Kaswa or is close to Amomole or is close to Mataiko. You can be able to navigate to the site, you convert it to a KML file, and then you upload it to your device, and then you navigate to the site. Okay. All right, so this tutorial focuses on how to convert a site plan from hard copy to soft copy, and then to be able to navigate to the site as well. Okay, so basically these are the steps involved. I crave your indulgence here now. That you would, the first procedure is you would scan the site plan. You don't necessarily need a flatbed scanner. You can take a picture, but the site plan needs to be as flat as possible. So you put it on the table, take a picture, and then you are done. That's the first step. When you finish, you move to the QGIS software, and then you upload the scanned image onto the georeferencer. So when you are done, you'll be able to digitize, and then you superimpose it to be able to get the Google satellite image. Okay. So like I said earlier, you make sure you scan the site plan first, which is very easy to do. You can take a picture simply, and then you have it scanned. And also, to avoid map distortions, it's preferable to use a good scanner for this step. For fairly accurate results in the place of a scanner, one can snap a picture of the plan. The camera must be held fairly perpendicular to the flat surface of the plan. All right. Now the second step, which is the georeferencing. Georeferencing simply means assigning the coordinates of the ground, the real world coordinates, where the property is located, the coordinates on the ground, to each pixel of a raster, because by now you would have scanned the pixel. Okay, we are back. Once again, thank you for bearing with us. We're facing a few challenges. Okay, I'll quickly go over the georeferencing definition again, and then we continue. So the georeferencing is basically the most important part of the entire exercise. When you get the coordinates wrong, your entire geospatial valuation exercise is wrong. So it is very, very crucial to be able to identify the coordinates, the X and Y's, the latitudes and the longitudes from your site plan before you are able to georeference them. So again, I said the purpose of georeferencing is that it is going to stretch out the image of the site plan, and it's going to make the site plan fit exactly at the right location according to the coordinates. Okay. So the second step is to open the georeferencer plugin, which I pointed out earlier. This is where it's located from this screenshot. And then you go to manage and install plugins, and then you upload it. We'll do a practical example so that everyone will be able to see. It's very easy to access. This is where it's located. Okay. All right, so the georeferencer plugin itself, it's a window that has two panes or two sections. The top section displays the site plan itself, or the scanned image, which we are about to georeference. And then the bottom section displays the ground control points because we are going to be assigning the points onto them according to the coordinates, the X and Y's that we see there. Another interesting thing about the GCP table or the ground control points table is that it has what we call the residuals located at this point. So as and when you enter the coordinates, it displays the root mean squared error, or the amount of error that you may be introducing depending on the type of transformation that you are performing. So this is a sample of a georeference that has been carried on. You would see here that the residuals are reading 5.8 to the power negative 11, which is very small. It's almost zero. So we can safely conclude that when your error is close to zero or is very small, your georeferencing is largely successful. It's not necessarily always successful when it is small, but you are on the right path when it is small. So it's also an indication of how good you are doing the georeferencing. So this is basically the steps that we do. We use. Most of the site plans in Ghana are in this coordinate system. I've been talking about coordinate systems. Most of the site plans in Ghana are in the Ghana National Grid coordinate system. This is the coordinate system that uses the imperial system, which is the feet system. So, for example, if you are used to the latitudes and longitudes, but you are not used to the feet system, it's very important that you would realize that Ghana uses the feet system. So I just want to quickly show you how the feet system looks like. Yes. This is a typical map of Ghana. This is a typical map of Ghana. We all know that longitude zero, rather, which is the Greenwich meridian, passes through Ghana, through Tema. This is it. Geographically, it's referred to as longitude zero. But for the conversions that we have in Ghana, and according to survey and mapping standards, we use the imperial system, which is the feet system. So, for example, something as close, coordinates as close to the longitude zero would be appearing like this in terms of the longitudes, the eastings. So you would see 1200000, 1300000 on your site plan. You are not going to see longitude zero itself. For example, if the property is located near Tema, you are not going to see longitude zero like this, but you are going to see coordinates that have been expressed in this format, as we can see, all the way to the end. And this is the coordinate system in use by Lands Commission at the moment. So you would find a lot of site plans using this coordinate system. It's very, very crucial that you understand the coordinate system you are working in. This will help you to be able to transform them. One time we did an exercise. We did not pay too much attention to the coordinate system, and we told a client that the site plan he had given us was not in Ghana, because after we drew reference, the site plan was falling somewhere in Nigeria because we did not pay attention to the coordinate system. So yeah, in the end, we were embarrassed, and so we had to redo the whole thing. So it's very important to pay attention to the coordinate system in which you are working. It saves a lot of time. All right, so the process of assigning the coordinate is also very simple. You type the X, you type the Y, and then you are done. We'll do a practical example so that everybody would appreciate. Again, your residuals should be as close to zero as possible. When you are done with the georeferencing, which is the most important part of the validation process, you go on to digitize. There are two types of digitizing methods. The first one is what we call the manual digitizing, and then the second one is called the on-screen digitizing. Manual digitizing, it involves the use of a pack it's like a pencil or a stencil. So when you have the hard copy and you are connected, you've connected that pack to the computer, you just trace out the parcel or the plot that you want to go out and validate. So in the process of tracing it out, it automatically plots on your screen. But we do not have that technology here. So we are going to use the second method, which we call on-screen digitizing, which involves tracing the same parcel or plot on the screen. So all you need is a mouse and then the georeference site plan, and then you begin to trace. So when this is done, for example, this parcel 215 is from this sheet which has been georeferenced. When you trace it out using the method of digitizing, on-screen digitizing, you obtain this finished polygon for the purpose of the validation that you want to. So digitizing is basically tracing out the parcel for the digitizing, for the validation purpose. Now there are some things we have to avoid doing. You'll be tempted to do them, but you should, as much as possible, try to avoid them. That is, during the georeferencing procedure, you may be tempted to use only 3 coordinates. For example, if you are not able to see the coordinates clearly, someone told me that ArcGIS is able. Someone told me that AutoCAD is able to use only 2 points to georeference. So, somebody leaving that environment and moving into QGIS may be tempted to use only 2 or 3 points to georeference. And the thing is, QGIS will allow you to use 3 points. It will not allow you to use 2 points, but it will allow you to use 3 points. Then the problem that you would have is that the site plan would not be accurately georeferenced. It will not go and fall on the exact location that you want it. It could be off. From experience, I've seen that it could be off by up to 500 feet, which is not good enough. And then also, another mistake you could be tempted to make is to digitize when you are using a very small view scale. That means you have zoomed out so much, you cannot really see the parcel, and then you try and digitize that way. You could also make a mistake. I've been talking about web map services, Google Earth, and all that. So I just want to explain what it is. For our validation, that is the final process where you introduce the web map services. So you have finished you have seen the site plan, taken a picture, scanned it, put it in QGIS, georeferenced it, and digitized it. The last thing you want to do to be able to verify whether or not the site plan is at the actual location is that you introduce a web map service. So previously, we know of Google Earth. Some people are able to convert the digitized parcel to a KML file, which is the accepted format of data for Google Earth. And then you upload it to Google Earth before you are able to see. Google Earth on its own is a standalone application. So it means if you don't have it, you cannot use it. So you have to download it and use it. QGIS has eliminated that burdensome procedure of acquiring that standalone service. QGIS now incorporates Google Earth into it. Like I mentioned earlier, using the QGIS, using the Quick Map Services plugin. So you no longer need to carry out that procedure. Also, for a web map service like OpenStreetMaps, the moment you load it, it comes with the street names as well. So I'm aware that the names that have been given to the streets in Ghana are all updated on the OpenStreetMap service, and so you'll be able to tell exactly where the property is based on the name of the street. It has made life quite simple for those of us who are into geospatial property identification. So I want to just show you a few examples of the different types of web map services. What we are looking at is from the S3 satellite. This is the parcel. which has been obtained from the site plan, scanned, georeferenced, digitized. This is where it's lying. You can see that the parcel is lying somewhere. There's no physical building there. And this is the Bing aerial. This is from Bing. The next one that we have here is from the Esri. This is from the Esri satellite. You can see that there's a difference between the Bing and then the area, the Esri. And this is from our traditional Google Earth, which is also known as the Google satellite. And you can see the images more clearly than the other web map services. And this, finally, this is the OpenStreetMap. This is what we also know as Google Maps on our phones. And like I mentioned earlier, it has the names of the streets, which allows you to identify the location of this property. And you can tell that this property is very close to Adrigano ADMA Basic Schools. So this property is located in Adrigano. This is a picture. If we had a chance to zoom in, which I will demonstrate later on, you would see that the name of this particular street will pop up. The name of this particular street will pop up. Every street that has a name will show, which will also aid you greatly in identifying your property. So without much ado, I would go straight to the software and then carry out a practical example of how to do all that I've said we are going to do. Assuming you've been given a site plan and you need to carry out a validation, how do we go about it? Okay. Okay, I believe my screen is visible. Okay, so please pay attention to the procedure. We have reached the practical part. I believe it's very easy to do. So I would take my time and go through just so that we would see how it goes about. Okay, so obviously I've been doing some work. So I have these layers being displayed on the left-hand side on the layers panel of the QGIS when I open them. But when you open yours, you may not see them. There is nothing there for now. The first thing you do is to be able to set the coordinate reference system in which you are going to work. You will tell the system that, listen, I have a site plan. It's in Ghana national coordinates. It's in the feet system. It is not in lat longs. So I want to specifically use the Ghana national coordinate system. So you come to the bottom right corner here on your screen, and then you will be able to choose the coordinate system from here. I already have some. If you have never used this part of the QGIS, you will not see all the coordinate system display. But the moment you type the name, if you know it's Ghana National, as we call it, you can just type Ghana National and then it should appear. It will filter itself out and appear. It always has these EPSG codes that are assigned to them. So if you also know the EPSG code, EPSG is a database of the various coordinate systems that we have in the world. It was developed by the European Petroleum Survey Group, and it's a standard code that we use in the geospatial world. So if you know the EPSG code for the Ghana National Grid, it is 2136. You can also type it, it will filter it out for you. So for the purposes of our training, we are going to stick to this coordinate system, which is 2136. You click apply and OK. Now your map canvas, your entire map canvas is in that coordinate system, meaning when you import the map, you georeference and then you load it, you will not have any conflict. It will go straight to that part of Ghana that you want, you seek for it to go to. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is I already have my scanned image. I've scanned a site plan already. I've uploaded it into one of the folders on my computer. So I would go and access the Georeferencer plugin. The Georeferencer plugin is located here on mine. It's in this icon. But if you are not able to see yours at that place, you can always access it under raster and then Georeferencer. You would see it at Georeferencer. Then again, if it's not there, you go to manage and install plugins. This leads you to a repository, a directory where all the plugins in QGIS are located. And then you can just type Georeferencer here. The moment you start typing, it pops up. If it's not checked, you check it and then you click on close. It will display under raster or it will appear on your menu bar. So you click the georeferencer and this is the interface it gives you. Now, the first thing you have to do when you come to the interface is that you would have to set the transformation parameters. You remember I said that the process of georeferencing is a mathematical process. It's a mathematical procedure of transformation where you are using coordinates to shift and warp a site plan. So we need specific parameters. And for scanned images, if you are dealing with scanned images that you have scanned from a piece of paper onto the QGIS, you need to select the transformation under the transformation type. You need to select TPS. The full meaning is thin plate spline. It's an algorithm that takes into consideration the possible distortions that you can have. So thin plate spline is the most appropriate to use for scanned maps. You realize we have quite a number. We have linear, helmet, polynomial. For scanned images, choose thin plate spline all the time. And then the resampling method is the nearest neighbor. You don't have to bother too much about the details. All these are mathematical transformations. And then our target SRS is also the same as our target coordinate reference system. Should be, yes, you have said it, is Ghana National Grid. We are working in Ghana National Grid. So we make sure that our target coordinate system is also in Ghana National Grid. Then when you come here, always save the ground control points. Always check the save ground control points box. And then check this box as well, load in QGIS when done. So when you are done with this part, you click OK. And then we can come and load our raster or our scanned image, which in this case, mine is located here. This is a scanned image of the GHIS Secretariat. Most of us know where it is. It's at South Legon. So by the end of this georeferencing, I expect that my site plan or in the QGIS when I'm done, it should go and fall at South Legon, just as it is, not in Nigeria, not anywhere else. So we are going to use this site plan to see whether the site plan is true, that the location of the GIS property, the GHIS property is at South Legon. All right. When I zoom in, the next thing you need to do is to identify the coordinates. This is clearly in Ghana National Grid. If you remember from the big map I showed earlier, I can see 11,970,000, 11,980,000. So they are 1,000 feet apart. This is a standard site plan. For those of you who are familiar with site plans. But here's the problem. We cannot see the coordinates at this side very well. Anyway, I can see it quite clearly. Perhaps it's also because I've been doing this for some time, so I know that this is 347, although it doesn't seem so clear. This is what I do not see clearly, but based on the 1,000 feet intervals that we have, if this is 347, this will obviously be 346. So because we are moving upwards, so from 346 you go to 347 and then 3 zeros. So the next thing we do is to input the ground coordinates. Like we said, the art of georeferencing is taking the coordinates from the ground and assigning it onto the paper. Fortunately for us, we have it here by the grid intersections. So this intersection, the x coordinate is this one. The x is the departures from here. This is your x, this is your x, and then this is your y. So the x for this point is 1197, 3 zeros, and then 347. So I would select this. The moment I click on the intersection, after I've selected add point, this feature is the add point. When you click on the intersection, it will give you the chance or the dialog box to enter the coordinates. So 1197, you enter them in full as you see them because we are working in the Ghana National Grid Coordinate System. 347 is my northing. So under X, I type the eastings, which is the X coordinate that I see here, and then the Y coordinate. I believe this is very simple. It's very, very, very easy to do. It's not difficult. And also, mind you, we are using 4 points. So fortunately, when you examine this site plan, you see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 grid intersections. This is a good site plan. This is great. You can use it. You can also use, or you can also georeference a site plan which may not have 4 points. That I would reserve for a later date, perhaps, because the processes will change the moment you do not have those sites. You don't have the grid lines or those 4 intersections that you need. And as much as possible, we don't want to assume, because when you start assuming, you obviously introduce very, very, very huge mistakes into it. Okay, so I'll go on to the next intersection. The X is 1197,000, and this, which I cannot see clearly, but I have deduced that based on the grid intervals and based on my experience with site plans, the difference here is 1,000 feet. So this is 346. Very easy, very simple. You enter the coordinates as they are, and then you click OK. You can see what is happening here. The residual pixels is displaying 0. But like I said, QGIS does not allow you to use only 2 points. You need 4 points. It will allow you to use 3, but don't do it. No matter how badly you attempt it, use 4 points. So I will go on to the next point, my third point, which is 1198, because I know it's 1,000 feet apart, 346. And then you realize the moment I introduce the third point, now my residuals change. This is the measure of the amount of error, like I said. So 5.6 to the power negative 14 is very, very small. It's almost 0. And so I don't have to panic. I'm on the right path. And then I'll go on to my final point, which is 1198,347 in this case. And then you realize that everything changes. But all these are close to 0. My root mean squared error is very close to 0, minus 13. I should panic or I should be afraid that my georeferencing is not good when I am at perhaps minus 3 point something raised to the power minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. That one is not the best. You should have your residuals as close to 0 as possible. So that's a brilliant thing. You are able to check your own work as you carry it out. And then you'd come back to the transformation parameter. You realize that it will automatically give you a default output raster. If you want to change the location of where to save, you can change it. But it has given you, when it georeferences it, it creates another image, which is a TIFF image. So if you want to, you can change the location, browse the location, save it anywhere else you want to save. But I will keep mine here. So making sure save GCP point is checked, load in QGIS when done is checked. I click OK, and then start georeferencing. You saw that a very quick line just ran through the screen. It's telling me that my georeference is successful. So I would minimize the georeferencer window, and you should see that the new sheet or the new site plan that I have georeference appears on the left hand side. When you right click and click zoom to layer, this is what it will show you. It will appear here within your map window. And you realize that if you see at the bottom of your screen here, coordinates, the moment I move my mouse, it's not changing. I believe you can see the screen now. The property or the site plan now has appeared on my left-hand side, and this is the georeferenced image now. So you realize that the coordinates displaying at the bottom here, they change the moment I shift the mouse. The moment I shift the mouse, they change. And it is now telling me that this property, which according to the site plan is located at South Legon, and according to the grid coordinates on the site plan, are the grid coordinates in and around South Legon, this property or this parcel is now lying exactly at that area. So how do I check? This is where I go to Quick Map Services, and then I load the WMS layer that I want to use to verify. You can see that I have already loaded a few, and this is how you load it. The moment you click on the Quick Map Services plugin, it allows you to type a text, any part of the text. You can type Bing, you can type Google. The moment you know it, the moment you start typing, it will display the image that you want. So, for example, you can start with BING. If you are familiar with the BING, you realize that the moment I start typing, it brings up the BING area. So it's very convenient to be able to load these things at will. So I have already loaded the Google Map. So I'm going to use the Google Map or the OpenStreetMap as we know it to verify whether or not my site plan is at the right place. So based on my knowledge of the area of the Secretariat, I know it's not too far from the Tetekashi interchange. Yes. So you can see clearly here that the site plan is lying very close to the Tetekashi interchange here. So yes, my confidence is up now that I have done the right thing. So I would zoom in closely. Mind you, we haven't digitized it yet, but we just want to see whether it falls approximately at the area it says it does. You can see what happens when I remove the georeference site plan. It's already telling me that I'm at Ghana Institution of Surveyors. Approximate, the parcel is falling approximately at that portion marked Ghana Institution of Surveyors. Yes, so I think we have carried out a very successful georeference. So we can confirm with the other WMS layers that we have. Earlier on, I was prompted that the Google hybrid or the Google Earth satellite image has cloud cover around that area, and it's true. There is some amount of cloud cover. This is why you must not necessarily stick to only one WMS service that you may have. Maybe you say, oh, maybe I'm used to Google. I like Google. I just want to use the Google satellite. It has cloud cover, which may not help you for your validation purposes. So that is why we have the different types. You can check with Bing. You can check with so many other that are available. This is the Bing aerial. And in terms of cloud cover, I think the Bing is even worse. Can barely see anything at all. And then we can check with the Esri satellite. Esri satellite is better in this case because it doesn't have that cloud cover. And if you are familiar with the GHIS Secretariat, you can see that this site plan falls almost exactly on the compound. It has captured the extent of the parcel almost perfectly. So yes, indeed, our georeferencing is successful. All right. So basically, this is the entire process of being able to take a site plan that you have been given and to be able to verify whether or not it is at its actual location. Let me quickly show you how digitizing is done. Because you may, after this process, you may have to move to the property. Assuming you didn't know where it was, but you can drive to that place, you would have to be able to digitize it. And like I said, digitizing is basically tracing the parcel that you are seeing. So what you go and bring is a tracing paper, what I call a tracing paper. You simply create a layer, a new shapefile layer, and then you would give it a destination folder. You would say, okay, let's call this paper GHIS Secretariat, so that we'll be able to browse to that location. And we are going to capture a polygon in this case. And remember, our coordinate reference system that we are working in is Ghana National Grid. You can click OK. And then you realize that another layer appears. My new vector layer, as we call it, has appeared here. So you click on this toggle editing icon and then click on Add Polygon Feature. And then you begin to trace out the corners. Basically, when you select the corners, you have selected the entire parcel. And then you click on OK when this dialog box appears. So now when I move the site plan, when I remove the site plan, the georeference site plan, you realize that without looking on the satellite image, I have basically captured the compound properly. So this is the image, or this is the file that we are going to convert to KML and then upload it onto the phone. And I would like to emphasize here that because of perhaps copyright issues, there are a number of software that you can use to navigate to the site plan, to the site properly, and I'm not sure. Most of them are not free. Most of them are not free. You go to Google Play Store and then you buy them. For the iPhone, they also have a number, but you know, I prefer free stuff because of the open source softwares that I'm into. So there are functions and very particular applications that you don't have to do much. You just upload the site plan like this. You convert to a KML and then upload it straight onto the device, your phone, for example, a handheld GPS, for example, and then it zooms to the location. And if you have the talking GPS, it will help you drive to that place. So I have one of those apps on my phone. Again, like I said, they are not free. So, and also I don't want to advertise too much for one particular one. So I would just leave that for now and then basically show you how to convert to KML from the QGIS. So this is how we convert to KML. On our screen here, on the layers panel, the GHIS Secretariat, which is the parcel we have digitized, you simply right click and go to export, save as features, and then at the format column, you just select, it's a drop-down menu. It has so many different formats. You select keyhole markup language. You select KML here. Click on OK. Select a destination on your hard drive to save it. You can give it a name. And then you click on OK. So at this point, you can be able to connect it to your mobile device, upload, and then browse to that location and then click on it. It will just take you to that place. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is how to perform basic geospatial property identification using a site plan that has coordinates. Okay. So I think, okay. So I'm going to show you one other thing. It's very possible you may ask that, what if I have so many site plans and they are overlapping, or it looks like they will overlap from the site plans that you have. You can see that it's from the same area, so perhaps it will overlap. Okay. So all right, so these are examples of some site plans. I'll quickly show you where they are. You would find that a site plan like this, let me quickly share the screen. Yes. This site plan is somewhere in Awoshi, belonging to one Elizabeth. It's just for the purposes of this training. It's not an actual site plan belonging to an individual. And then there is another one that also is around Awoshi. And you can see from the grid lines, they are very close. It's almost the same grid line as the first one belonging to Elizabeth. And this is also a third one belonging to Mr. Ignatius. It's also very close. So I have three properties, same grid line or similar grid lines, and they seem to be very close to each other. So the question now is, can you be able to view them if they are even overlapping? Is it possible to view them? So the answer is yes, it can be viewed. The answer is that it can be viewed like that. Okay, so I already did the georeferencing and then did the digitizing. So I have four parcels of that site plan that I showed earlier. They fall here. So this is the result of those site plans. You can see that we have three overlapping site plans. They actually 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 overlapping site plans, or basically one big site plan lying on all of them. And QGIS is able to show you. If you load the Bing image, you would see that this is where it's lying. Of course, the Bing area here is not clear. If you compare it to Google, you can see that, Okay, this is better. This is clearer. But where is it? You cannot tell exactly. The site plan says it's at Awoshi. So let's use OpenStreet or Google Hybrid as we know it. So this is the Anya Awoshi Road. Yes, indeed. The properties are lying here and they are obviously overlapping each other. So it can be done. QGIS can display overlapping parcels without any problems. And you can distinctly tell which property belongs to who and all that. I have already entered their names. So it's like a database that exists here already. The name of this parcel owner, when I click on the parcel, it pops up. It shows here that the name is Elizabeth Abena, so and so. She's 54. She's a seamstress. This perhaps if there's some amount of compensation going to be paid, the compensation is displayed, the date of compensation, etc. So you can have a complete database with complete or full details of the property owner, of the parcel owner displayed, and it will serve as a full database on the QGIS. The next property you can see belongs to Mr. Peter Kwao. And then the age, he's retired, he's this. So I'm just trying to show you that from the site plan, when you digitize, you can attach all this information onto the digitized polygons, which will end up as a full functional database where you can perform so many database functions on. And it's very, very, very possible to get the desired results. So let me just quickly display the different styles. The site plan. Okay. So basically, this is what we have in the end. When I turn off the Google Hybrid, you see that the names of the owners have displayed in the right portions. So if you want to know whether QGIS allows you to add multiple layers from different site plans, from different coordinate systems of different people, and helps you to obtain a full database, yes, the answer is yes. And there's one function I also wanted to show that QGIS is able to do. For example, if I have the hard copy site plan of this person's property, QGIS allows you to be able to view the property. So to view the site plan, I mean. So I've already done some coding at the back. When you click on this parcel belonging to Elizabeth Abena, when you click on it like this, turn on the action. There is an action that will allow the actual site plan to pop up. Okay, I think okay. Okay, the code may have left there, but there is that function, and it's very easy to do. So in terms of obtaining a complete database of the sites or of the parcels that you are interested in, yes, indeed, QGIS allows you to do it. And with this training, you can be able to identify a property no matter where it's located. Let me just give you this little anecdote. About 4 years ago, a lawyer, well, I didn't know him so much by then. He's now a very good friend of mine. He got to know that I was, into property identification using uh, software. So he told me of a conflict that he was having with somebody on a piece of property at Kokrobite. So what was happening was that the encroacher or the person who had another site plan came to him to tell him that the property he's on is not his because he has a site plan indenture. The lawyer also has a site plan indenture. So they wanted my opinion. How do you tell who has the right site plan? Because obviously the site plans looked different. The moment I saw the site plans, I knew that it's not the same property based on the grid lines and based on the coordinates on the grid lines. So I told him to give me 10 minutes, sat behind my computer, and then did this exercise: scan, georeference, digitize, and upload the WMS. And right in front of the two of them, as they were still going at each other's throats, I told them that this is my honest view. The lawyer's site plan was showing us that it falls exactly where we were standing, which was on his property. But the other guy's site plan, believe it or not, was about 200 feet into the sea. You know, Kokrobite is close to the sea. So for some reason, whichever surveyor did the work for him was not honest enough. So I gave them my verdict, and I was the hero of the day. That's how come the lawyer is my friend today. So it's a great skill to be able to tell the difference between the locations being depicted on the site plan for both valuation purposes, for validation purposes. I think it's a great skill to have. So on this note, I would say thank you and then request for questions if there are any. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adam, for such a brilliant presentation this evening. This program would not have been possible without the kind sponsorship of you, the participants, as well as our special sponsors. We have Property Appraisal Investment Consult, Goyle Ghana Limited, the Lands Commission, Valuation and Estate Investment Associates, Gold Street Real Estate Consult, our VGS branch in the Central Region, the Office of Administrator of Stool Lands, Alpha Property Services Limited, R&J Service Limited, 10th Generation Technology Systems, Valuation and Development Services, Ascenta Properties, and our newest sponsors, Real Home Builders, as well as ABBA Estate Survey and Valuation Consult, with Surveyor Kobina Pepra as the principal consultant. Once again, we want to thank our resource person. And before we move on to the Q&A, we want to draw the attention of members that opportunity will be given for further training and deeper training of those who are interested in going deeper into the areas that Mr. Ado has touched on today. And together with our own surveyor, Tony Theodore, will be organizing further training. Basically, but it will be paid for, and we would, at the end of this program, invite you to show interest and we can organize it for you. So on that note, we would go into our Q&A, the Q&A session now, and I'll call upon members to raise their hands for us to start the questions. But along the line, the pool will be put up for you to access today's program. So we encourage you to complete it as it is shown on your screens. Thank you very much. Okay, we have Surveyor Frederick Okan. If you can unmute yourself.
Hello, good evening.
Fine evening.
I think thanks for the nice lectures that we've gotten this evening. We are very grateful. I want to ask this question. I have a database in Google Earth which I've done my georeferencing, digitizing, and alongside I've done a database which has attributes of the date of transaction, the parties, the acreage of the property, unexpired term, and other attributes. How easy is it for me to export it into QGIS? Will I get all my attributes data? And besides, when he did the digitizing, you could see that the polygon had a fill. If I want to take the fill out, I could see he has done it at the latter part of what he showed. If I want to do the delineation of the boundaries only, how is it for me to do? And the last one is we've done about 4 series of lectures. I can see that each lecture has been recorded. Up to now, we haven't seen any of the recorded videos. When are we getting it? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sofia Frederick. Okay. Yes, with regard to the recordings, I think we have announced it at each session. We announced that at the end of the seminar, you're going to package it and send it out to all those who registered and paid. So definitely you're going to get it at the end of the seminar. So next week, after next week's presentation, we're going to compile all the recordings of the 5 presentations, as well as the slides. And also, in addition, questions that we're not able to answer during the session, we would make sure the source people answer and give it to the participants. So, Mr. Ado, can you address his question?
Okay. Yes, please. So to answer the question as to whether you can easily attach attribute information to a parcel, yes, that can be done very easily in QGIS. You may put the attribute information in Excel before you attach it, or you can directly, after digitizing the site plan, upload you can manually type the attributes. So for example, like this, I had already created the fields. So for example, for this particular parcel, I can manually enter the attributes from here. And then again, like I said, if the attributes already exist in Excel, which I find that most of our data, that's how it is, you can always attach them. There is a column here under properties, which is called joins. And of course, with further training, I believe that I can be able to teach you how to do it. Joins allows you to import any file which is in a spreadsheet format. So it could be Microsoft Access, it could be Microsoft Excel, it could be WPS service, it could be LibreOffice. Any of these data formats, you can import it easily, and then it will ask you for a join field. So if it's going to join with the polygons that already exist, and perhaps your identifier is the name, you have the name of the person on the parcel in QGIS, and then you have the name on the Excel sheet. You can just use that as a join field, and then it will go and join without you typing anything. And then also, your second question as to whether we can make the polygon hollow. I believe you were referring to this particular polygon that we digitize. Yes. You can either save you can get a default polygon and save it as a hollow polygon, or you would manually come here under symbology, remove this solid, apply and OK, and then you have a hollow polygon from the site plan. So it's one of 2 ways. There's always a simpler way, like I said, and perhaps also because I'm also used to doing this, I have shortcuts or short codes of doing this. Every action that you have here, there is a way to make it a shortcut, so that perhaps instead of clicking on all of that, you just go to shortcuts, enter the shortcut, and then it would perform the function for you. QGIS allows for that. So
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ado.
Doctor,
Yes.
I asked him, I have a database on Google Earth. Can I export it? And I will still have my attribute information on QGIS.
Mr. Ado.
From Google Earth.
Yes, please.
Google
It's
Earth.
like I have a comparable database in Google Earth.
Yes, Google Earth will allow you to export only the KML file, which is the shape, the polygon, the point or the polygon, or the line that you have.
Okay.
So unfortunately, you would have to manually attach whichever information that you have, unless of course you can, unless, sorry, not to be cavalier, but if you can attach an XML file, which that one is of course higher programming. It will just manually, it will just automatically link the attribute data to that XML file. So when you're exporting it to, but basically from what you are saying, you would have to manually, it's only the line that you can export, the polygon, that thing that you have. The other thing that appears, you would have to export them separately.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ado. In the chat room, we have two let's say comments or questions. The first one is from Dominic Berima. It says, can QGIS assist in establishing actual coordinates on the ground? So, and the second is from my boss, Dr. Odamilabi. He says, an excellent and down-to-earth presentation. Thank you so much, Surveyor Ado. It's not a surveyor, it is Mr. Ado. Under the lab, a lot of survey products were done in UTM, with Ghana still using the national grid. Does it mean those products are not usable? So, Mr. Ado, can you address the first one, whether QGIS can assist in establishing actual coordinates on the ground, and whether the UTM products under the lab project are...
Okay. So please correct me if I'm wrong. You are saying that, can we use QGIS to establish the ground coordinates?
Yes, actual coordinates on the ground, yeah.
Well, you can obtain actual ground coordinates from surveys, or perhaps from georeferencing a map sheet and then digitizing the ground coordinates from there. And then with that coordinate, the X and Y that you obtain, you would be able to go and then go to the field and then plant it. Let me just give an example here. I'll just quickly create a point layer. Okay. So I'll just quickly create a point layer. So we are assuming that the corners of the GHIS Secretariat, which we just obtained from georeferencing, we want to set it out. We want to get the exact coordinates at this corner, and then we go and set it out, perhaps using a GPS or something. And I would save the points layer. I'll give it a name, an arbitrary name in this case. And then I'll click this. So just by the same operation of digitizing, I would zoom to the corners. You can see that the moment I approach the corner, I get a snapping device showing there. So if I want the corners, there's no need for me even to label it. Okay, I can call it 1, and then this one is 2. So for the 4 corners. So mind you, I am taking coordinates from my georeferencing that I've done. These are not coordinates that I imported from anywhere. I have generated it myself. So with these coordinates, when you come to the attribute table, these are the coordinates 1, 2, 3, and 4. I want to know the X and Y so that perhaps I can be able to go and set it out on the ground. So what I'll do is an operation that will generate the X and Y for me. So I would call this one the eastings. I'll just create 2 fields, eastings, and QGIS allows for a function. These functions are short, very short programming stuff, short languages that you can use to generate X and Y. So the moment I type the $ here and then the X, it generates in the preview the X coordinate. So you see that it will populate here. So if I also want another field, which is the Y coordinate, quickly, which we'll call northings, I can just, again, using the short codes that exist in QGIS, and then I have my X and Y for each point. So the moment I select, it turns yellow. So this, my point 1, this is it. These are the coordinates. Point 2, these are the coordinates. Point 3, these are the coordinates. Point 4, these are the coordinates. So with this, you can easily export it to Excel or into your GPS device and then send it to the field to establish coordinates with them. So
thank you very much.
So indeed, yes, it can be done.
Thank you very much. I think you are now moving into some advanced levels, and we don't have that time to go into that. So we would, at this point, also indulge members to avail themselves of the opportunity that will be coming up to go deeper into some of these things to enhance their professional practice. So if you can address, I don't know whether you want to address the issue about the UTM. Ghana, we produce maps in UTM, and Ghana is still using the national grid. What happens to the products under the UTM? Can you maybe hazard some suggestions in that regard?
Okay. The UTM, I think the UTM is more of a standard coordinate system, because I'm aware if you are using UTM, then you are in zone 30, which fortunately or unfortunately includes even Burkina Faso. And I've had a chance to work in Burkina Faso. They use UTM. But I believe that if you are able to convert between the different coordinate systems that we have, it really doesn't matter which coordinate system you are working in. So, for example, all the points you picked during that exercise was in UTM. And so because of that, you are forced to draw your site plans, or you are forced to generate your data in UTM. But yes, QGIS can be used to convert those coordinates. And of course, we don't have the time. I would have shown it. But there are so many tools that will allow you. This lat long tool, for example, allows you to import the Excel sheet or whichever database, whichever spreadsheet you are saving the coordinates on, and quickly transform them to your desired coordinate system. So to answer that question, you are not stuck in one coordinate system when you know how to transform between them. So then again, it's a skill you everybody needs to acquire. It's not particularly too difficult, and yes, it can be done in QGIS.
Thank you very much. Surveyor Federico is thanking you for the brilliant response you gave to his question. Surveyor Juliana Opokunyakun is asking, please, can QGIS store large data? And I believe, I think Surveyor Tony has given some response. He's saying storage of spatial data is done in databases. For example, QGIS, ArcGIS works with other databases to store data. So I don't want. Do you want to add something to it?
Yes, quickly. QGIS also works with another free database source called Postgres or PostGIS. Postgres, Instagram, the entire Instagram database. Those of you who are familiar with that social networking base, it sits on Postgres, which is also open source. It's free, so you can attach Postgres to QGIS if you are handling large data. If you're handling terabytes of data, yes, QGIS can do it, so far as you enable the PostGIS extension and then do that. Of course, all those are a little bit advanced, but it's a complete package. QGIS is a complete package which can do all these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm not seeing any. Do you have more hands raised? At this point, I would like to inform you about an opportunity to promote your firm. There's a book coming up titled The Making of Surveyors, and it's targeted at professionals and academics and students. An opportunity has been provided to firms to advertise in only 4 pages left, 3 pages left in the book. And the diamond package, which costs 5,000 per slot, will give you a color advert of your firm, for firm's logo, contact details, and services that you provide inside of the front cover page of the book. The gold package, which is going for 4,000 Ghana cedis, provides a slot, a colored advert for the firm of the logo, and the bronze package which gives a black and white advert of the services that the firm provides. And the contact person is our own surveyor Obin Meruku in Kumasi, and we have his details online. You can contact him on telephone number 020-544-5829 and email obin82@gmail.com. As I speak, the pool is open, and I can see most of you responding to it, and we encourage you to continue to fill the form to give us the feedback for subsequent programs. And someone is saying, on a lighter note, Mr. Ado can join the LIS division. Good evening. That's for our Honorary Secretary. Thank you very much for joining us today. Do we have, I can't see any hands raised at this moment. Do we have more questions? Okay, I will take it that we are done with the Q&A session, and I would like to take, I don't know whether Surveyor Chair will want to say something before I give the vote of thanks. Surveyor Chair, do you want to add a few remarks before I give the vote of thanks? Okay. On that note, I would like to, on behalf of the Surveyor Chair and the VS Executive Committee, as well as the Divisional Committee, to thank you, the participants, for availing yourself this evening to be part of this very memorable presentation by Mr. Ado. And we would like to thank Mr. Ado for taking off time of his busy schedule to give us a down-to-earth presentation on how we can enhance our professional practice. At this point, I would like to also draw attention to the fact that the practice areas that we started with on this seminar, we're going to launch an online link for you to have the opportunity to join at least, I think, 2 or 3 practice areas. And I think now we have the Surveyor Chair online now, so he would want to give a few remarks before we come to an end of this program.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Quay, for such a wonderful moderation. We want to once again thank all our participants for your excellent participation and sustaining the seminar going. We just want to remind that next week will be probably the final, but not exactly the final finals. We will have ADR next week. And then beyond next week, there have been a few requests that we meet in practice area basis. So I'm sure during the week, we are going to send a link that you can use to select your practice area, so that after next week final seminar, we'll still log on, but this time we'll meet online in our practice areas and strategize for the way forward. We are grateful for all of you, for joining. We thank our sponsors. It's still not yet done. Please, you can still sponsor so that together we can set the pace for the other division to follow. Thank you very much. Our resource person and the surveyor crew and the production team who are working at the background to make sure we get such excellent seminar. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Surveyor Chair, for doing the vote of thanks on my behalf. At this point, we'll call on Surveyor Joseph Priest. Is he online?
Yeah, Ben, I'm here online.
Okay, so we call on Priest to give us a closing prayer. And this will be followed by the GHIS Center.
Good evening, fellow surveyors. I want to say a big thank you to God. Shall we pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit? Amen. We thank and bless you, Father, for the gift of life. We thank and bless you for wisdom, for knowledge, for understanding, for technology. We thank and bless you for your Son, who you have used to educate us this evening. We pray that, Lord God, you bless whatever we have learned this evening with your Holy Spirit, and help us to apply it to our work. Help us to excel in our various works. And may your name be glorified now and forevermore. In Jesus' name we have prayed with thanksgiving. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. The GHIS Center. Thank you very much, and we are reminding you of next week's program on ADR, our own